Most people don't realize that starting around the age of 30, we begin to lose muscle mass at an alarming rate, typically between 3 to 8% per decade. That means by the time someone reaches their 50s or 60s, they may have lost 20 to 30% of their total muscle mass without even noticing it. This isn't just about looking fit or strong. It's about preserving strength, mobility, and independence. This silent condition is called sarcopenia. It sneaks in slowly. One day, stairs feel steeper. Carrying groceries becomes more tiring. Balance starts to wobble, and here's the critical piece. The earlier you begin to address it, the better your chances of reversing it. We tend to think of aging as the main culprit, but the real issue isn't just getting older. It's how we fuel and move our bodies as we age. We mistakenly assume muscle loss is inevitable, that it's part of life after 50 or 60. That belief is not just wrong, it's dangerous, because muscle is not just for movement. It's a powerful metabolic organ. It stores glucose, regulates insulin, and sends signals to the rest of the body, including the brain. When we let it waste away, we don't just lose strength. We lose metabolic stability, energy, immune function, and mental clarity. Now, here's something to understand deeply. Your muscles are not just reacting to how much you lift or how often you train. They are reacting down to a cellular level, to the signals you send through nutrition, sleep, sunlight, hydration, and movement. And among those signals, protein intake is one of the most powerful, yet not just any protein will do. There's a difference between eating protein and absorbing and utilizing protein. There's a difference between having enough to survive versus having enough to thrive and grow. Most people assume they're getting enough, especially if they eat eggs regularly, since eggs are often considered the gold standard of protein. But the reality is, when we measure what the body can truly use for muscle synthesis, especially in aging populations, many common sources fall short. And this is critical, because if we're not matching the rate of muscle breakdown with quality protein that stimulates repair and growth, we are losing more muscle than we build, and over months and years that adds up. But there's more to this than just numbers. Sarcopenia doesn't just make you weaker, it changes how you feel. Lower muscle mass means a slower metabolism, which leads to stubborn fat gain. It means lower testosterone, reduced drive, less motivation. It can lead to insulin resistance, higher inflammation, poor sleep quality, and even cognitive decline. This is why maintaining muscle is not just about physical performance. It's about total system vitality. Now think about this. We train for strength, we track steps, we talk about sleep hygiene, but very few people design their daily nutrition around muscle preservation. And it's not just about loading up on calories or random protein powders. It's about getting the right kind of protein at the right time in the right amount. And the truth is, there are foods out there that outperform eggs, delivering more usable protein per gram with superior absorption and even better amino acid profiles. So the first step in stopping muscle loss is awareness, knowing that it's happening quietly underneath the surface, even if you're active. And the next step is action, choosing foods that send a clear signal to your body, preserve and build muscle now. Because if you don't send that message consistently, your body will adapt in the opposite direction. It will shrink, it will conserve, it will decay, and you have to ask yourself, is that the message you want to send? When most people hear the word protein, they immediately think about quantity, how many grams they're getting each day, but here's the truth, it's not just about how much protein you eat, it's about the quality. It's about how well your body can absorb it, how efficiently it triggers muscle protein synthesis, and whether or not it sends the right signal to your cells. Because not all proteins are created equal. Some are far more powerful than others in their ability to stimulate muscle growth and repair. That's what really matters. You could be eating what seems like a high-protein diet, but if the amino acid profile isn't complete, or if the bioavailability is low, then your muscles aren't getting what they truly need, and that's especially important as we age. Younger bodies are more forgiving. You can get by with less than optimal sources, but once you're over 40, your body becomes less sensitive to protein. That means you need higher quality sources more often to maintain the same level of muscle building activity. Let's talk about biological value, something most people overlook. It's a measure of how efficiently the body can use a specific type of protein. Eggs are often used as the reference point with a biological value of 100. They're complete proteins, rich in essential amino acids, and relatively easy to digest. But here's what most people don't realize. There are other protein sources out there that score even higher in terms of usability, digestibility, and leucine content, and leucine is key. It's the amino acid that acts as the trigger for muscle protein synthesis. It flips the switch. Without enough leucine, the body can't effectively build or maintain muscle, no matter how much protein you're consuming. So it's not enough to just get your protein. You have to think strategically. Are you getting enough leucine per meal to stimulate MPS? Are you timing your intake to coincide with physical activity when your muscles are most primed to absorb nutrients? Are you using high-quality sources that your body can actually use? What's powerful here is that the body responds rapidly to the right signal. You can literally change the muscle building environment in your body within hours. You just need to provide the right building blocks. That means proteins with high digestibility, rich in all 9 essential amino acids, especially leucine, and ideally combined with other nutrients that support recovery, like magnesium, B vitamins, and healthy fats. Now, there are plant-based proteins and there are animal-based proteins. Some people prefer one over the other for ethical or health reasons. That's fine, but the critical thing to understand is this: plant proteins are often incomplete. That doesn't mean they're useless, it means you need to combine them smartly. Mix legumes with grains, pair lentils with quinoa, add a sprinkle of chia or flax for fiber and omega-3s. Do what's necessary to make that profile complete. Otherwise, you're sending an incomplete signal to your muscles. On the animal-based side, certain foods like whey protein isolate, grass-fed beef, and wild-caught fish are incredibly effective. They're rapidly absorbed, loaded with essential aminos, and highly anabolic. In fact, when measured gram for gram, some of these sources outperform eggs significantly. They generate a stronger anabolic response, especially in aging populations, where the muscle-building machinery needs a more forceful nudge. It's time to move beyond thinking of protein as just a daily target. Start thinking about it as a precision tool, a signal that communicates with your muscles, with your hormones, and even with your brain. It tells your body whether it should build or break down, whether it's in a state of growth or decline. And that signal is only as strong as the quality of the food you put on your plate. So the question becomes, are you giving your body the kind of protein that makes it stronger, faster, more resilient? Or are you just checking a box and hoping for the best? Most people are shocked when they learn that there are foods out there that contain more usable protein per gram than eggs. Foods that not only match eggs in quality, but actually outperform them in certain critical ways when it comes to muscle preservation and growth. It's easy to fall into the routine of sticking with what's familiar. Eggs are a staple. They're convenient, versatile, and considered a gold standard for protein. But when we're looking at the science, when we examine what the body actually absorbs and uses, we discover there are other, often overlooked options that can deliver even better results. Take whey protein isolate, for example. It's not just about the total protein content, it's about how fast and efficiently that protein reaches your bloodstream, how quickly it stimulates muscle protein synthesis, and how well your muscles respond to that signal. Whey isolate digests rapidly. It's rich in leucine, the key amino acid that triggers muscle building, and it's absorbed with minimal digestive strain. That's especially important for older adults or anyone dealing with inflammation or gut issues. One serving can deliver more muscle-usable protein than several eggs and do it faster. Then there are whole food options like chicken breast, turkey, or grass-fed beef. Gram for gram, these animal proteins offer complete amino acid profiles, are dense in nutrients like iron, zinc, and B12, and give the body not just fuel for recovery, but also raw materials to rebuild tissue, regulate hormones, and sustain energy. And then there are powerhouse plant-based options too: lentils, edamame, hemp seeds, and spirulina, each of which packs a surprising protein punch when combined strategically. Spirulina, for instance, is over 60% protein by weight and contains all essential amino acids. It's not just a supplement, it's a tool that can be used daily to support lean muscle retention and overall health. When we evaluate these foods not just by taste or habit, but by bioavailability, digestive ease, and muscle response, the game changes. Suddenly, your nutrition becomes intentional. It becomes proactive. You're not just feeding your body. You're sending signals to grow, to heal, to stay strong. You're leveraging nature's most effective tools to resist the slow decline that aging tries to enforce. The point is, you don't have to be stuck with the same 3 or 4 foods you've always used. You can expand your toolkit. You can include foods that give you more protein more effectively, with fewer calories and less digestive load. That's smart nutrition. That's how you move from maintenance to momentum. Because the difference between staying strong and slowly breaking down isn't about age, it's about awareness, strategy, and the daily choices that add up to long-term strength. Muscle loss doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, a slow shift in balance between muscle building and muscle breakdown. Most people think if they're staying active or eating well, they're safe. But what really determines muscle health isn't just what you do occasionally. It's how consistently you're tipping the scale toward anabolism rather than catabolism. That's where the food you eat plays a more powerful role than you might expect. Because there are specific compounds in certain foods that can directly influence whether your body is preserving muscle or breaking it down. At the core of this is a biological process called muscle protein synthesis (MPS). Every time you eat protein, especially proteins rich in leucine, you trigger this process. Think of it like flipping on a light switch. That signal tells your muscles it's time to grow, repair, and strengthen. But here's what most people don't realize. After a certain age, the body becomes resistant to that signal. The switch becomes harder to flip, so you need higher quality inputs to get the same effect. And some foods by design do this better than others. When we look at the science, we see that certain foods, those high in leucine, glutamine, and other amino acids, actually suppress catabolic signals in the body. They lower levels of cortisol, reduce inflammation, and support hormonal balance, all of which help prevent muscle breakdown. These foods don't just give you raw material. They act like molecular messengers, telling your body that it's in a state of growth and not stress. That matters, because your physiology is always scanning for cues. It's asking, am I under threat or am I in recovery? Should I build or should I conserve? Let's say you're under stress, not sleeping well, and your protein intake is inconsistent. That's a recipe for muscle loss. But when you introduce the right food fast, digesting, leucine-rich, and bioavailable, you shift the balance. You activate mTOR, the key pathway that drives muscle growth. And when mTOR is activated regularly, especially after resistance training, your body adapts by laying down new muscle tissue instead of tearing it apart. There's also the role of micronutrients. Foods that are high in magnesium, B vitamins, and antioxidants don't just support the muscles. They protect them from oxidative damage. They help regulate blood sugar, support mitochondrial function, and reduce systemic inflammation, all critical for keeping your muscle tissue from breaking down during periods of stress, illness, or inactivity. The body is incredibly responsive, but it needs the right environment. It's not just about eating more protein, it's about targeting that protein, pairing it with movement, rest, and supportive nutrients. When you do that consistently, you create a protective shield around your muscle mass. You stop the slow erosion, you tell your body, this muscle is important, this strength is necessary, and this structure must be maintained. That's how you stop muscle breakdown, not by chance, but by design. When it comes to using food as a tool for muscle growth and protection, timing matters just as much as the source. The body doesn't treat all calories or nutrients the same depending on when they're consumed. There are specific windows in the day when your muscles are far more responsive to protein intake, especially after physical activity or first thing in the morning when the body is in a naturally catabolic state. That's why incorporating the right kind of high-quality protein at the right time can dramatically increase your ability to build and retain muscle. After a workout, your muscles are like a sponge. They've been broken down through exertion and are primed to absorb nutrients, particularly amino acids, for repair and growth. This is known as the anabolic window, and it's a powerful moment. If you feed your body the right kind of protein during this time, something rapidly digestible and leucine-rich, you give it exactly what it needs to trigger muscle protein synthesis and reduce recovery time. Miss that opportunity and the body stays in a longer catabolic state, breaking down tissue for fuel rather than rebuilding it. Another crucial time is early morning. After an overnight fast, your body wakes up in a mildly catabolic state, having gone hours without nutrients. This is a moment where people often make the mistake of grabbing a carbohydrate-heavy breakfast with little to no protein. But that sends the wrong signal. What you want instead is a dose of clean, complete protein, something that tells your system it's time to rebuild, not continue breaking down. Just 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein first thing in the morning can flip the switch and put your body into a more anabolic mode for the rest of the day. The key is to not rely on random timing or guesswork. Make it strategic. Plan your day so that your highest quality protein sources are consumed around the times your body needs them most. Post-exercise and upon waking, those are your windows. And remember, consistency matters more than intensity. A small, daily habit done right beats an inconsistent effort done big. Because when you give your body the right input at the right time, you don't just maintain muscle. You build a foundation that resists decline, enhances performance, and supports long-term vitality. When we talk about muscle growth or muscle preservation, most people think purely in physical terms. How much protein, how often to lift weights, how many sets and reps. But what's often overlooked is the role of the brain in this entire process. Your nervous system, your mental state, even your focus and discipline, they all shape how your body builds and maintains muscle. There's a feedback loop between your mind and your muscles that can either support your goals or sabotage them. And food, especially certain types of protein-rich, nutrient-dense foods, plays a critical role in strengthening that loop. The right kind of food doesn't just build muscle, it enhances the neural signals that control strength, coordination, and performance. Certain amino acids found in high-quality proteins are precursors to neurotransmitters. For example, tyrosine supports dopamine production, which impacts motivation, drive, and your willingness to push through fatigue. Tryptophan affects serotonin, which is tied to mood and emotional regulation. So when you fuel with intention, you're not just giving your muscles what they need, you're giving your brain the raw materials it requires to stay focused, clear, and engaged. There's also the hormonal side. Testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, all of these are influenced by what you eat, how you sleep, and how you recover. Specific foods rich in complete proteins, healthy fats, and minerals like zinc and magnesium can help regulate these systems, which in turn impacts how efficiently your body repairs and builds muscle. And when these hormones are optimized, your brain benefits too. More clarity, better sleep, higher mood stability, stronger cognitive performance. What's even more fascinating is that this connection runs both ways. When you train your body consistently, when you eat for performance and recovery, the brain begins to rewire itself. You build discipline circuits, motivation circuits, even resilience circuits. And this neuroplasticity isn't just theory. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you react under stress, how well you stay focused in the face of distraction. It's all connected. You can't separate the physical from the mental, the nutrition from the mindset, the muscle from the message you send it daily. When you choose food that supports strength, clarity, and recovery, you're investing in more than just your body. You're training your entire system to function at a higher level, for longer, with greater impact. So when we step back and look at the full picture, it's not just about one food, one workout, or one habit. It's about stacking small, intentional decisions every single day that send the same clear message to your body: preserve strength, build resilience, and stay in a state of growth. The food you choose, especially the protein you fuel with, is more than nutrition. It's a signal, a biological command that shapes how your body ages, how your mind performs, and how your energy sustains over time. You're not just eating to survive, you're eating to thrive, to stay sharp, to stay powerful. And when you do that consistently, you don't just slow muscle loss, you redefine what aging looks like.